Okay, so these are actual examples from our book. And some of them are quite complex because we have a lot of grouping symbols we have to work our way through. And a lot of it is just, can you follow that order of operations? So looking at our first one, we have 4 times the quantity, 8 times the quantity, 3 plus 9, minus 4 times the quantity, 6 plus 2. So we want to do grouping symbols first. Remember, PEMDAS. And so that's going to be our first thing. And so grouping symbols are the P for parentheses. So we're going to work on the inside first. So we'll have 1 set, 2 sets. So we'll do those first. So 9 plus 3, so that's 9, 10, 11, 12. So if we rewrite this, we'll have 4 times 8 times 12 minus 4 times. So now I have 6 plus 2. Well, 6 plus 2 is 8. And now we have our embrace. Okay. Now we're still going to work inside of here because we have braces separating all that from our 4 times. So now what we have to do is we have to take and do that product and that product next. Well, 12 times 8, what is that going to be? Well, 2 times 8 is 16, and 8 times 1 is 8, plus 1 is 96. So we'll have 4, we'll have 96 minus, well, 4 times 8 is 32. And so now we have this. So again, we're still within grouping symbols that we have to work with. So we'll take 96, and I'm going to cheat. I'm just going to say now minus 32. So I have 6 minus 2 is 4, 9 minus 3 is 6. So now I have 4 times 64. Okay. Now the last thing we have to do is just take 4 times 64. So again, I'm just going to keep going down in order, making sure I keep track of stuff. So 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 6 is 24, plus 1 is 25. And so I get my final solution is 256. Okay. Now again, we had to follow order of operations our whole way down. First the 3 plus 9 to get 12, and 6 plus 2 to get 8. And then we had to take 8 times 12 to get 96, and 4 times 8 to get 32. Then we subtracted those, we got our 64, and then we multiplied that by 4 to get our 256. All right, so the next one, it looks pretty easy in comparison to that, but that one was just a lot of grouping symbols. This one just has 2 sets of grouping symbols, and then a division between them. Well, here we have 14 plus 7, and again, if we need to, we can take 14 plus 7, and 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 2, and so that's going to give us 21 divided by, well, 2 plus 5 is 7. Well, 21 divided by 7, well, that's going to give me 3, because when I do that, I get 0, and so my final solution here is just 3. Okay, and so again, remember your dividend, your divisor, and that's your quotient. All right, some more examples. So here we have 8 times the quantity, the 3 plus 9 times the 5 plus 2. Okay, so we just work our way from the most inner parentheses or grouping symbols and work our way out. So that means we have to do this first. 5 plus 2, well, that's going to give us 7. So now we have 8, and then we can drop anything. If we realize that if we take 8 times that and we just can put it like this, that's fine. Plus 9 times, and this was 7. Well, now we have a 3 plus a product, and so we have to do that product first. Well, what's 9 times 7? Well, that's going to give us 63. So that gives us 8 times 3 plus 63. Okay. Well, now we have that to simplify, 63 plus 3, so that's going to give us 8 times. Now we can, if we need to, we can change it to parentheses, or if we want to keep it a bracket, we can keep it a bracket as well. And as long as we keep the grouping symbols there. And 63 plus 3 is 66. And now we just have to take 66 times 8. So 6 times 8 is 48. Then we have 48, 49, 50, 51, 52. And so we get 528 as our final value for this expression. All right. What about the next one? Well, the next one, and we forgot to write PEMDAS up here, and so let's do that again. And so here we have a product, we have an exponent, we have addition, another product, and addition. So it says we should do our exponent first. Once we get that done, then we'll do multiplication from left to right. And then after that, we'll do addition from left to right, okay? So this is going to become 12 times, well, 5 squared is 5 times 5. Well, 5 times 5 is 25 plus, well, you know, now we just have 8 times 9. We know that that's going to be a next thing. So what's 8 times 9? Well, that's 72. Then plus 4. So now we have this product to work with. And again, if we need to, we can take that and multiply it. And so 25 times 12. So that's going to be 12 quarters. So if we knew how to do that one, we could do that. And that's going to give us a number. But let's go ahead and just do it as a long multiplication just to get practice with that. So 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1 is 5. Now we won't have anything here. And we have 1 times 5. And then we'll have 2. And we'll get 300, which is what we expected because 12 divided by 4 is 3, and so that's going to give us $3 or 300 in this case here. So that's going to give us 300 plus 72 plus 4. All right, so now what does that do? Well, now we go from left to right adding. So 300 plus 72 is going to give us 372 plus 4. And 2 plus 4 is 6, so that's going to be 376. Okay, and so that would be our final answer in that question. Let's see if we have some more. All right, so how about this one? 17 plus 7 times a quantity 13 minus 2 squared plus 6. Well, we need to work in the innermost parentheses first because we're going to do PEMDAS again. So we have exponents, but we have parentheses. But these parentheses have an exponent first and then an addition. So we really need to do the innermost parenthesis first, which is this one. And so we have to get rid of that 2 squared. So doing that, we have 17 plus 7 times 13 minus 2 squared is 4 plus 6. And then in bracket, okay? Now we have what's inside of here, so we have to do this next. So we have 17 plus 7, then 13, and 6 plus 4 is 10, and so we have minus the 10, okay? Well, now we have this set of parentheses, except they're brackets this time, so this grouping symbols. 13 minus 10, well, that's 3, so that gives us 17 plus 7 times 3. Well, now we have to work with the product because that's the next thing on our list is the multiplication. And so that's 17 plus 3 times 7, well, that's 21. So again, if we need to, 7 and 1 is 8, 2 and 1 is 3, and we end up with 38 as our value. All right. And again, all we had to do is we had to start with the grouping symbols and work our way from the innermost and work our way out and out and out and out and out until we get to our final answer, okay? Now with this one, we've got an exponent minus something in parentheses. So we've got two things we could work on at once. We could do that piece because it's all by itself, and we can do that piece because it's all by itself inside of grouping symbols. So 5 cubed, well, that's 5 times 5 times 5. So 5 quarters is 125. So that would be $1.25, or in this case, since there's no periods or decimals, it's going to be 125 because we have 5 times 5 times 5. So that's 25 times 5, and 25 times 5 is going to give us 25. That's 10, 11, 12. We get 125. Now 17 plus 15, what do we have there? Well, 17 plus 15, well, 5 and 7 is going to give us 12, and that's going to give us 3. So then we're going to subtract off 32. All right, so 125 minus 32 that is going to have to be some borrowing. So 5 minus 2 is 3. And we could borrow, or we could think of this as really 12 minus 3, because that's really what it is. Because when it has a thing like this, that's just going to be 12 minus 3, and that's going to give us a 9. And we can remember, if we want to check a subtraction, we can always add it back together again. 3 plus 2 is 5, 9, 10, 11, 12. And so that looks to be the correct answer is 93. Okay. All right, and here we have a couple of fractions. So we have to work with those. And that means we need to work with the numerator first, the denominator next, and then after that, do any divisions as necessary. So if we look through here, it looks like in the numerator, we have to work inside of parentheses first. And so we'll do this product as the first thing. So we'll have 19 minus 4 times 3 is 12, and minus 2 all over. Now the denominator is completely separate, so we can start with that. So we can take 6 times 3, that's going to be our first thing because that's a subtraction. Well, 6 times 3, well, that's 18 minus 9. Okay. Well, now we still have parentheses, so now we need to take 12 minus 2. Well, that's going to give us 10, so we have 19 minus 10 over 18 minus 9. Well, that's going to give us 9. Well, 19 minus 10, that's going to give us 9 divided by 9. Well, 9 divided by 9 is 1. And so that is going to be our solution to this final equation here. Okay, and so it looks really complicated all up here, and it comes down to the simple answer of 1. And again, just following rules, the PEMDAS, a rule of operation, and that gives us our final answer of 1. This one looks to be about the same as that one as far as, what we have to do, multiply and add and subtract. So it doesn't look any different. It just has different numbers. So first thing first, we'll do that in the numerator and that in the denominator. So that will give us 40 minus, and 3 times 7 is 21 minus 9 over 8 times 2 is 16 minus 2. Okay. Now we need to take 21 minus 9. So again, sometimes when you have ones where you're going to have to borrow, it's easier to write them on top of each other and just do the borrowing. So that becomes a 1, borrow here, makes that 11. So 9, 10, 11, 1 minus that is going to be a 1. And so that gives us 40 minus 12 over 16 minus 2 is going to give us 14. Well, 40 minus 12, which is what we have in the numerator. Again, we're going to have to borrow. So that's going to give us a 3. That's a 10. So 10 minus 2, that's going to give us 8. 3 minus 1 is 2. So we have 28 divided by 14. Well, this is a big number as far as we can actually divide it. So we can take 14 into 28. Well, how many times will that go? Well, if we take that times 2, that's 28. We subtract that, that's 0. So this one, our answer turns out to be 2. So again, a complex looking thing turns into a simple number 2. Okay, and again, we just follow our orders of operations and we can get through these problems. All right, so that's all I have for the end of this section.